Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A to B podcast. Today we have probably one of the most random episodes that you guys are gonna see in this channel. We have Sonny Santabuli. He is a retired major of 20 years, and he shot me a DM yesterday from one of the clips that he saw on my Instagram. And we went to go get some coffee. We had the equipment that we want to test out, and we were like, brother, your story is a really great one, and it's a story that not a lot of people get to actually see because not a lot of officers are willing to be as honest as straightforward by just simply saying some stuff, right? So he agreed. Sonny, I appreciate you coming in, brother. It's a pleasure to have you here, man.
Thanks, I appreciate it. First and foremost, I know whatever we talk about, everybody who knows me knows that I'm dedicated to the institution. So I see everything through the lens of an officer, but also the lens of my experience, of my generation, my background. So whatever you want to talk about, shoot.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Let's get right to it. So, talk to us a little bit, so that way people know you a little bit. Talk to us about who you are.
I'll give you the 30-second clip. Came to the United States as a refugee when I was about 3 years old. Always wanted to be in the military. Was in ROTC in high school. Parents made me go to college, and then I joined the Marine Corps a few years after that, and did 20 years. Started out as a comm officer. Did probably that half my career. The other half was an instructor at school, doing things in other units that totally outside my MS, but that's the nature of officers. And then I finished it out here at Camp Pendleton.
Okay, awesome. Now, what year did you come in the Marine Corps?
2001, January.
2001, and you're retired. I'm guessing if you did 20 in 2021,
Correct.
correct? Okay. So, what are some of the experiences early on in your career, right? Because I want to, again, which is my co-host, guys, he's feeling under the weather this week, so he's not here with us today. However, I he's a retired sergeant major of 23 years. I am a gunnery sergeant that got out after 14. I am so glad that I have you here today because I want to impact as many veterans and service members as possible. And with that being said, early on in your career, and I know things have changed, rain a lot since 2001, but what advice do you have for those young officers that are coming into the Corps?
First things first is to assimilate. You joined for a reason. It's not a draft. I assimilated very quickly after about. I didn't share this with you before we got on the camera, but 2 years after I joined, I found that I was struggling, and then I made a pact to myself: you got to be angry, you got to be aggressive. You can't be that quiet Asian guy and just like you joined the Marine Corps, not the Air Force. So I started working out. I started being more proactive and being aggressive. Not necessarily in a violent manner, but I changed my persona.
Assertive, right?
Assertive, being
Yeah.
assertive. There's a difference, right? You're right about that. And got a little bit more successful. But then over the course of the years, I found that I got distant from who I was. And I had to center myself later on. Otherwise, I'd lose my mind and lose my soul. Because after 20 years, if you lose a sense of self, you're going to be broken. So I had to get back to who I was. And now, as I've gotten out of the Marine Corps, I've become such a better husband, a better father. I've never enjoyed my life so much. It's because I was all in. When you're a Marine, you're expected to be all in.
Specifically as an officer.
Yeah, officer or enlisted. But as an officer, as we talked about, it's kind of tight at the top, and you just deal with it.
So I know obviously we spoke about this on camera, but that way people have some reference. So you got out as a major at 20 years. What happened?
Um, what happened is I got passed over and over. And the Marine Corps allowed me to stay and to hit 20 years. There's some form paperwork that needs to happen. But basically, Headquarters Marine Corps looks to see if you have had bad paperwork, adverse fit reps, or DUI or anything stupid like that. And they're like, hey, you're good, you're clean, we'll let you hit your 20 years. And I was very nervous about that because this is my life. I was very, very heartbroken.
Yeah.
I felt like I was, once you romantically fall in love with something for so long and they drop you like a bad habit, I mean, how can you feel? It happens every year. I'm not a singular case.
Yeah.
And for some reasons it's valid and sometimes it's just unknown.
Mhm.
Um, but you move on because that happens in life. Just, kind of suck it up,
Yeah.
right? We talked about that
Yeah,
term.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We definitely talk about it because we were talking about, like I said, man, like guys, we were literally just grabbing coffee, and I was like, "Damn, you're spot on with some of these things. Well, pretty much everything that you've been saying right now." But when we were having the coffee over there in the Starbucks, he said, "Oh well, I don't want to cry about it." And I told him this. I think this is one of the first things that we told each other. I was like, "You're not crying about it." And in our, obviously he's a little bit older than me, but in our time that we joined the military, people feel like a lot of vet bros have been saying out there that, oh well, he's crying about it. No, I'm not crying about it. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be outspoken about these things so that way our Marines don't feel that it is there that they are the problem. These are some of these institutional problems that we're having create a lot of mental stress to our service members, and how do we fix them? We talk about them. We
Yeah.
already said this, and I was like, brother, don't feel that you have to sugarcoat anything. Don't feel that you have to think that you're crying about it because you're really not.
Yeah. The strength of the Marine Corps is that we have a really tight bond, inside and outside the Marine Corps. Once you get out, you've seen the light of how much teamwork can get something done, and you've seen the light of how much you can overcome your potential. But
Hmm.
there are some things that conceptually still bring us down. Suck it up, suffer in silence, push through the pain. Pushing through the pain is why we have so many broken men and women. And
Hmm.
that's why it's a separate topic. We're a drain on the VA because we're broken because some asshole told us to push through the pain. But
Hmm.
like I'm teaching my 11-year-old son, there's different types of pain. There's, you hurt your feelings. Okay, push through that fucking pain. Oh, the run sucks. Well, that's called a cramp. It'll go away, push through the pain. But we're not intellectual enough as an institution to understand, to evaluate, and to have mentors that are able to guide us properly to teach us how to really perform physical fitness, to teach us how to really mentally push through the pain. Do we have psychiatrists and psychologists at every unit? I'm not talking about the wizard. I'm talking about something that can talk us through things, right?
Yeah.
Force fitness instructors? That's only been recent, but I'm sure there's still parts of our culture where we push through the pain and then we break ourselves and then we realize we just screwed up, the Manning document because some people got hurt and now we can't deploy. So it's just, we're not a very intellectual organization, and we need to demand to be without some senior enlisted or senior officer saying, shut up, stop whining, do as you're told. Because there's a time and place for that, just like a time and place for micromanagement.
And as a major, um, when you reach that rank of major, it gets to a point to where you get surrounded by a lot of individuals that just like to nod their head. Yes, sir, that is a great idea. You was a major. What was your feedback whenever you had you get briefed by the colonel or by the lieutenant colonel, hey, this needs to get done. Were you used to be the type of person to where you will bring a huddle around and be like, hey, what do you guys think? Staff Sergeant Gunny, what do you think we should do? Or were you the type of person that was just like, hey, this is what I need to get done. Let's go ahead and execute.
Everybody is a product of their, not necessarily environment, but a product of their seniors. Kids beat other kids and kick dogs because their parents taught them to do that. Kids micromanage other kids, or people micromanage other kids because they're micromanaged. I've had leaders that were very clear and concise with their purpose and intent, and they tell you to go forth and get X, Y, Z done. If I or somebody else were to receive that type of higher level thinking, like purpose intent, like the Marine Corps professed us to do, decentralized command and control,
Yeah.
then I would treat you as my gunny. Hey, gunny, this is the boss's purpose intent. Let's take 5 minutes and just huddle everybody around. Hey, do we have anybody who knows anything about this? I don't care if he's an E3 or a lieutenant in a different section. Everybody has something they can bring to the table. Let's brainstorm this shit. I got a whiteboard. Let's do it, and then we'll just discern it, right?
Yeah.
I'm
That's how
that.
it's supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed to
That's
be.
how it's
That's
supposed to
that's
be.
problem framing, McPeepee, whatever, right?
Yeah.
That we teach but we don't do. Yeah, don't. Yeah, it's a sticky subject. Yeah, I've tried to teach that at units, and they're like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Let's go co-def." So, the reason why you have majors and even lieutenants and maybe enlisted that micromanage and tell you to just do it is because their boss said that. I
Or
believe
implied,
implied
because
that.
it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be said.
No.
It can
Yeah.
also be
It
implied.
could also be implied. So I believe that's human nature. I blame leadership. Sometimes leadership is at the battalion CO level who does that. Sometimes it's the general who says, I want that Marine to get a Navy comm or B or whatever. It just happens. And everybody's like, well, why'd that happen? Why didn't you ask me for my opinion, Gunny or sir? And, well, just shut up and color. And now it builds animosity. Now it builds rumors. Now it builds like this command climate sucks. I don't get asked for my opinion. But if battalion commanders can take a knee and reevaluate how they talk to their people, I'm not even talking about words, mannerisms. I've had a battalion CO, I've given a brief, flips through it, takes 2 seconds, he doesn't hand it back to me. That motherfucker threw it back to me across the table. And he's a Fulbright right now. I'm not going to tell you where he's at. But those type of things traumatize, lowercase t, an individual and make you fucking angry. And you have to do so much to try not to do that to other people because they're like your dad and you look up to them and they're your mentor, but they're
also the ones that get you promoted because they write your favorite.
So at a point in time when you're a man and you're 40 years old, you're like, do I want to be like these motherfuckers? Do I even give a shit anymore? Right? You struggle with that.
Oh yeah.
Because there are some people out there who are like, shut up, Sonny. This is your career. This is our career. Is this your life though?
Exactly. And that's what essentially boils down to is okay, you have this career and a lot of people have been putting out there in the comments. I read all of the comments, by the way. Well, the institution. We talk about the institution. But the institution is not the equipment that we own. It's the Marines that make up this institution. And a lot of people tend to forget that, oh, well, we're doing this for the institution. What the hell does that... When somebody... the legit question. When somebody tells you, oh, this is for the institution, we got to look after the institution. What does that mean to you?
Well, when I was younger, I told myself and told others, like, the institution... What, you think like 6 old generals sitting around a table and they're the institution? They're like the old, graybeards? No, the institution, from my point of view now, I'm out. I've been just, I got out like 2 years ago. The institution to me are values, right? I'm not talking about, what's on the card that people used to get. I'm talking about the role and place of the Marine Corps strategically for the nation, the institution. I'm talking about the processes of how we do things, of how we're different. The Army's institution is different from the Marine Corps institution because of our standards, because of how the way we execute, how we plan. Let's start with that, right? When I used to teach planning, Marine Corps, McPeepee was slightly different from everybody else. So the way we think is different. But to get back to a more tactical level, what is the institution for a Lance Corporal to think about? Well, the institution needs money and people. So let's take care of my people so I don't fuck that up. There's garbage, let's clean it up. There's dirty vehicles and let's take care of our equipment because our equipment will take care of us. Horse, saddle, rider, like in that sequence. That's how you take care of your gear. So from a common man's point of view of how to take care of the institution, it's common sense. Take care of yourself. Take care of your own personal demands, your fitness, your PME, and just stay clean. Don't get a DUI. Don't get drunk every night. Not do the right thing because some of you fuckers don't know what the right thing is. Do what your seniors who've been around and are more senior to you in age and experience, take their leadership by example. But that's where we fail in recent years. I've seen staff NCOs. I used to get gas on base, and somebody was playing like, I don't know. I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to rap music, and he was playing. It was very like lots of cuss words, or whatever. Right? That's cool. I do that too.
Yeah, like trap music.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But the windows were open, and it was on, and he was bassing it. I know what 215 sounds like, and he was. I used to run back in the day. All right, run the streets. So, Alpines pull out, steal those. So, anyways, take out. But anyways, so I was like, hey, can you turn that down? This is a gas station. This is kind of like a family environment.
Were you in uniform?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was just asking. I didn't even tell him my rank. I was in PT gear. I just finished PT, and it didn't matter to me his rank or mine. And then he's like, "You're on a power trip. Like, who do you think you are?" I'm like, what do you mean who I think? Who are you? Like, I'm staff sergeant. So I'm like, you're a staff sergeant? Oh, you're a piece of shit. Like, I just cussed him out. Like, you really think that what you're doing is the right thing to do? And nothing happened because of that. But my point is that officers and enlisted, we fuck up all the time.
Yeah.
We know in our conscience what the right thing is. Because we weren't raised by 15-year-olds, most of us. We were raised by parents who were baby boomers or who lived through hard times. And they were just happy, so happy you joined the Marine Corps, finished OCS or boot camp. They had the greatest, highest ideals for you. And they loved that such a great institution was going to take care of their kid or daughter, like son or daughter. And then somewhere along the way, I've lost my way. Even as an active duty Marine, I've done bad things. I've messed up, made mistakes. But somewhere along the way, we didn't have people who we trusted that had a bond to take care of us and to be that older brother.
This goes back to something that I preach on this podcast. Something that I preach a lot here is you could have joined any other military branch. You could have joined the Air Force, the Navy. If you wanted financial benefits, you could have joined any other branch. But you chose the Marine Corps because there was something that drove you to become a Marine. Oh, and by the way, my sound guy, shout out to Jose. He's behind the camera right now. I recruited him.
Oh, okay.
So I recruited him. So I was his recruiter.
Twice. You recruited him for this job.
Yeah, I recruited him for this job too. Hey, let's go. So I actually recruited him, and that's one of the questions that I always ask. By the way, I have an interview with Jose. You guys can watch it right here. But I asked him, like, why the Marine Corps? Why not the Navy? Why not the Air Force? Why not the Army? And it's because during that first term enlistment, usually our target audience for recruitment is 17 to 24-year-olds. So we're recruiting essentially grown-up children.
Yeah.
That's what or teenagers that we're recruiting. They have zero experience, and then they look at the Marine Corps and be like, oh, yeah, I want to be part of the best. That's usually the answers that I get. I want to be part of the best. Their uniforms are on point. Like, I wanted something. I want to be part of something bigger. Not necessarily financial benefits, but what happens once you join?
Yeah.
You start getting that stable check on the 1st and the 15th, and for some people, that's the most money that they've ever made in their entire life.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they start making grown-up decisions. Yeah. They get married. They buy the first car. They open up their first credit card. And then I think that what you were mentioning along the line, they realize that, oh my God, I might not necessarily like the Marine Corps because I didn't have good leadership, but I have to stay in because now I have financial responsibilities. And those are the people that keep enlisting and keep enlisting and keep enlisting. And I'm not saying that's everybody. And I don't want people to take this as an attack, because in one of my previous clips, I said that we're not retaining the right Marines. I wasn't necessarily, for all of you guys that are watching this, I wasn't necessarily speaking about first-term Marines. I think, to be honest with you, that we're doing a great job at returning first-term Marines. Matter of fact, Nick Varner, he is a TikToker. He is also a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. I think he's a career planner. He was saying the other day that there was the monitors, the monitor visit was happening, the monitor roadshow was happening, and they were going to be a board camp penalty for first-term Marines. I commented on his video like, well, I guess screw the second-term Marines and the career Marines, right? And he said, well, they still showed up in herds. But that goes to show my point. Yeah. We need to be investing, not necessarily, yes, in the first-term Marines, but the people that shape this institution, we also need to be investing in them. Because if you see the bonuses that we got going on right now, bonuses are for first-term Marines, in order for us to retain the first-term Marines. But what about the staff sergeants that are literally, the staff sergeants, the gunnies, the master sergeants, the captains maybe, that are shaping, are having an impact in those first-term Marines? Shouldn't we be investing in them?
I think the Marine Corps has already made their decision through their actions of how we're not investing in them. Because if you ask you tell me as a former staff NCO, active duty, and if you ask even officers, it goes back to what I watched the other day. We push our people around. We don't. We send them places.
Yeah.
Like we don't dangle anything in front of them anymore. We have statements by the commandant. Well, just be happy you're a Marine. And so now let's look at the age where people are. So as a staff NCO, running and gunning, or as a captain, people decide to get out by the time they're a captain or not, whether they stay. Once you're a made man as a major, you kind of stay because like the financial benefit of 20 years, that's the best retirement program in the world, by the way. But people mostly get out as a captain and they go do 3-letter agency stuff or they go corporate. They make tons of money. But you can tell what their agenda was because they want to make more money, or they don't want to go do recruiting. They don't want to do some shitty billet that it's outside their MOS because they joined to be a grunt or they joined to be a pilot. They want to keep flying, right? I think we just push people around. Going back to my long-winded answer here, there's nothing that we can entice them to stay because it's just a suck it up. We're going to PCS you. You're going to Korea. You're going to Japan. It's stay because you're a leader of Marines. We're not going to give you necessarily more money unless you're like, a MARSOC MOS or cyber or something like that. So it's just kind of like they think you're mature now. They think that you're a made man. They got you.
Well, exactly. And because after you've dedicated 10 years, 14 years in my case, to this institution, it will be dumb for you to simply, you're so close to your retirement, you're so close to a paycheck for the rest of your life, that it really it wouldn't make sense to a lot of people. And that's why people decide to stay in. And I've heard this so much from my peers, master sergeants, master gunnies, and officers, higher enlisted officers. Well, just write it out till you're 20. Your kid will be fine.
Let me tell you what. I personally know a battalion commander who got out this year, lieutenant colonel, command done, rising star. He retired. I also personally know 2 people. One's a master guns right now, and one's a sergeant major that's getting out within the next 8-9 months, and they are awesome. And I'm not saying that just to say it. Just they are awesome. They are. They should be monitors. They'd be in charge of their MOI. The other sergeant major, fast track sergeant major. They're getting out. They're getting out because, what's coming first for them? Family, right? They don't want to be that statistic. 2 divorces, 3 divorces. Yeah, got a lot of ribbons and stuff, or you can brag about deployments. They realize that their family is really important to them. Because let's talk about the demographic of these people at a certain age. 40s, your kids are graduating high school, or et cetera, going to college, and you want to stay in the area, et cetera, et cetera. Now the Marine Corps is like, fuck you, pay me, you're going over here, you're going there. And they're like, wait, you expect me to defend the institution with these agendas or these changes? You're letting things unravel. I'm having to deal with knucklehead, new Marines coming in, officers that are like, nobody, like the senior officers aren't putting them on a leash, and I as a senior enlisted need to deal with this shit. It's like I yell at officers all the time. I'll pull them into my office. I feel like a battalion XO is the lead mentor for all officers in the battalion.
He is.
That's what it was told to me when I was a second lieutenant.
He 100%.
Some XOs don't do that, but I have no problems. Actually, let me go on a rant. Bunch of Marines were slouching like this while the CO was talking in the auditorium, and I asked every Marine to stay, Sergeant Major, and I asked Sergeant Major and CO to leave. I said, look, do those seats have headrests? No, sir. Then sit the fuck up. When I talk to my son, I have him look at me and sit up. Why are you guys sitting around like with your headrest? I'm not gonna put my hands on you, but I smack the back of my son's head when he does that shit to me. So you guys fuck with me, I'll fuck with you. So I was pissed off, but I had to have that conversation with all the Marines and their leaders in the auditorium. These motherfuckers sitting around slouching while the battalion CO, was talking to him, and the sergeant major. Is the CO going to say anything about it? No. Is sergeant major? Maybe, I don't know.
Specifically with this generation.
Fuck this generation. Sorry. But yeah, What I miss, here's what I miss, and this may be ironic, and I may just sound angry, and I thrive on anger, but I work out on base often, trying to rehab my knee. But there was a certain vibe in the air in the 2000s because everybody had a deployment or two or a couple
Yeah.
underneath their belt, and they knew that the gravity of the situation, the institution, was so important to be tight, to be aggressive, and to be disciplined, self-disciplined. I'm not talking about discipline imposed from a sergeant major or headquarters Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Self-discipline. It's just to be a good fucking Marine, right? You could feel it. You can see it in people's eyes, their posture, and the way they were working out. Bad motherfuckers, hungry, hungry
Yeah.
for blood. You don't feel that vibe anymore on base.
Mm.
You don't.
What do
And
you feel? What do you feel is that?
I feel that we are not. I feel that we aren't focused on a national, not national, an institutional existential threat. I feel like things are just kind of like, this little conflict's going on here, here. This is sort of like more of like a strategic concern. This deployment, you go on this deployment, but it's just low level peacekeeping type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. We definitely need that
Yeah.
because it's better to do that than to have kinetic effects, right? Kinetic interchanges. But I just feel like the intensity of men and women, Marines, just isn't necessarily there. And I'll probably have naysayers in the comment section. Well, we don't need to be angry to be professionals and to do our jobs and yada yada yada. We don't have to raise our voice. We don't need to use foul language. No, you don't need to. But there's nothing to say that that's unacceptable. Some people will think that's unacceptable. You know, some people will think that we don't need that because when the time comes, we can flick the switch and be, aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's I raise my children a little bit different than that. You have to be acclimated to the cold weather. You have to be acclimated. You have to have those emotions to learn how to put them in check. You have to, before you give a hit, when you're doing martial arts or sparring, you have to learn how to take a hit, right? There's a balance of what, and you have to have activities and moments where you have that cage aggression and you're in touch with yourself as a Marine. Otherwise, we're going to go back to defining, well, what's our institution? The uniforms that we wear, our plans and policies that come from Headquarters Marine Corps. Get the fuck out of here. Let's have a PMA and talk about what defines our institution, what makes us meat eaters, right, and not gatherers. So
Now, I do have a question for you. Have you been keeping up with what's going on with the 26 Mu and the message that the commandant released that if our enemies decide to attack our troops that are being sent into, it potentially being sent to Israel, that somebody else would raise their children? Have you been keeping up with those news?
yes, I saw that statement.
Okay, so how do you feel about that? Do you have an opinion on what's going on right now?
Uh, I do have an opinion on what's going on right now, but I want to focus on what that general said. Oh, was
Okay.
it the commandant, right?
It was the
Yeah, it was
commandant,
commandant.
yes.
Yeah,
General Smith.
they keep switch popping out. I saw that. I saw that clip. Um, there needs to be context in that. People will not. He doesn't have a persona, right? He doesn't have necessarily a persona. Yeah, I think where I'm getting to is it's a very Mattis-like statement.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the gravity of Mattis saying it. But for him to make the statement that somebody else will be raising your children, that's a very bold statement of what we're going to do. I know the Marine Corps is prepared to be America's shock troops, 911 force, and kill people for days, for 30 days for a MEU, right? Before you get reinforced, et cetera, et cetera. But is that really our approach to go in with threats?
Yeah,
Or to be more diplomatic?
because essentially that's what he said is what they're doing right now is kind of like a peacekeeping,
Sure.
But the thing is, you don't send a freaking pit bull into a goddamn freaking
Yeah.
like when tensions are risen, you don't send a pit bull into a peacekeeping operation. You know
Yeah.
that's just the way that I feel. I do like the fact that he said, "Hey, listen, because we're not the right people to target. We
Yeah.
are not. I'll tell you this right now to the enemies of the United States, and specifically to all the troops that are out there, because I know what it is.
I 100% support that though.
I know
Yeah.
what it is. I know what it is to be on that ship,
Yeah. Mm.
and you just got the
Oh yeah.
message over, and the captain of the ship is saying, hey, we are heading into
Yeah.
this position, and then
Everybody should want blood as they should. Everybody should want blood. Right or wrong, once the decision's made by the generals, by the colonels, we're out there to finish it. There is no holding back. There's no fucking warning shots. There's no peacekeeping operation. Once we take a shot from even a fucking little fishing boat, that thing's dead in the water. We're
exactly.
not. So don't take me wrong. I just feel sad that the way things are going right now, that's a potential way for it to end. Because once we go in, once the Marine Corps goes in, I still feel I will always feel strongly about this. We're gonna smash everything. And now the difference of what the Marine Corps will do versus what Israel is doing is we will get positive ID on the target. We do have different ROE from the rest of the fucking world. So we will be violent, we will be aggressive, but I don't believe that we're just going to go in and just like have
100% not.
arbitrary
I will
targets.
tell you this. I will tell you this. For you, the Marine that's out there right now, or the service member, because the Marines are not the only ones.
Yeah.
All over the branches of service, the Air Force has already been getting position. The Army has already been getting position. I will tell you this, service member that is watching you, regardless of what's going on, you have one job, and that is to do whatever it is that you enlisted in the military, and you do it to the best of your freaking abilities. There is only two things that matter when you are in a conflict. One is that person to your left and to your right, and the second is that you come back to your family. Okay, so know that the people back here have your back regardless of how you feel about the conflict. Hey, if like he was saying, like Sonny was saying, if the decision's made, has already been made. That time is not the one. That time is not the proper time to be questioning. It's your time to freaking execute. Let's go. I get fired up about this
Yeah.
stuff, man. I'm telling you, I get fired up because, like I said,
Yeah.
I know what it is to be on that ship. I know what it is to get that order and be like, hey, it's time to freaking rock and roll.
Okay. I lived that for years in the 2000s. Truth be told, I was living paycheck, paycheck, paycheck because between deployments, I was drinking like fish. I was buying motorcycles. I was just living like I was
So
gonna die.
officers do that too.
Sorry, I admit. Yeah. So I was living like I was going to die because maybe that's not right, but because every time I went on deployment, everything is storage, last will, and whatever. Have my finances in order. I'm focused on at hand. I'm not on social media. I don't even fucking call home. I suck as a son. I was focused on the mission, doing my
Yeah.
shift, doing my thing, working out, and paying nothing to the rest of the world except my little AO and what the fuck I was doing in my Marines. That's it. 6 months straight. Then I come back and then I'm like, oh, music's changed. You guys dress a little bit different. Let's go drink. So
Yeah.
that's,
And that's
but you're
still what
focused.
happens.
Yeah.
That's still what happens.
Yeah.
Now, and that's some in my, not in the podcast so much, but that's essentially what I do in my professional career now as a real estate agent. That's essentially what I do. It's
Mm.
like, listen, guys, I know the lifestyle, right? However, instead of you doing some of those things, how about we set some money
Yeah.
aside?
I never had a mentor that's why I was financially behind. I'm glad you do that. You did that for active duty guys because they're getting a lot of money, like you said. Like what 18, 20-year-old is getting this amount of money, without a college degree, right? I
Exactly.
mean, no offense, but holy crap. What impressed me when I met a Lance Corporal, our corporal a couple years ago, he didn't go out and buy rims and do stupid shit. He was going to college for free, tuition assistance, Maricosa. He already had an associate's degree. He had money, and he was smart about it. Yeah, he hung out. He was a good dude and everything, and he wasn't like a nerd, in a barracks. But he was smart about his money. And we
Yeah.
need mentors. I wasn't the guy. He wasn't my Marine, but I wasn't the guy to talk to anybody about financial planning. I wish somebody sat me down, talked to me about, interval training for PT instead of just run until you puke type
Yeah.
bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about money, about fitness, about just everything, decisions.
Well, I'm going to tell you why that is so relevant. And for all of you guys that are still in there watching, this is the reason why I do this. The reason why I do this is because, and I like having this, what I believe are very relevant conversations, even though we're still not in, is because one, we're not having enough of these conversations. Second, guys, they give me a lot of mental peace. To be quite honest with you, because I feel that I got out of 14 when I really should have gotten out of 30.
Yeah.
It's just circumstances. That's why. So those are two things. And the third, it's because if you guys apply what I try to teach, that it took me a lot of years and it took me a lot of banging my head against the wall to learn, we would have better Marines.
Yeah.
Because that is essentially to kind of summarize what we've been talking about, because we've been talking about different experiences that we've had, but regardless of the experiences that we've had, I think something can be left out of this conversation. And it's, you mentioned a lot of things, but one of the things was family.
Yeah.
I feel that the Marine Corps is trying with the Talent Management 2030 message that got released, and the people that I bring onto the podcast is, listen, we want to do our job. We want to serve our country. We want to be the best at it. But there's also other things that are important to us, and that is our family, our support group. Take care of our support group, and I promise you that you will have better Marines. So how do you take care of them? Yes, their families, children, wife, or whatever, but also ensure that you are also giving them the opportunities for them to succeed financially. Because it's pointless, I'll tell you this right now, it's pointless for you to give a 22-year-old that's about to make the decision for them to re-enlist a 20, 30K bonus when you don't also give them a plan. And this is kind of two-faced. The reason why I say is because, guys, there are actually already places that you can go. Building 13150 here in Camp Pendleton. Go talk to the personal financial managers. There's only 3 of them. I think there should be one, which technically there should be, which is called Command Financial Advisor, in every command, but there's not. I promise you, we do that, and the military will be a way better place than what it is right now. Yeah. Because the small things in this aspects matter. The better you can take care of your money, the better you can take care of your family. The better you take care of your family, the more time you have to dedicate to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
So 2 things. One, it has to be led by example. There needs to be somebody at the unit that says, hey, this is an example of somebody how's financially successful. There's people on Instagram. I'm amazed. There's I think his name's Knuckle Draggers or something.
Yeah, Knuckle Draggers.
Yeah, he's like all the money he makes. Sure, it's off social media, but he knows the mechanics of it and how much money he's making. He's very in control. That control piece, right? So if we make this a thing, then because of the way Marine Corps is with their fit reps and evaluation system, then other people will be like, hey, sir, can I tell you what I do? Now people are competing to be in the spotlight, to be an example, right? It's not
True.
It's not.
Yeah,
I'm not being
that's a good
cynical.
point.
I'm just saying if you make it a thing, you uphold it, put it on a pedestal, it will cause generational change in the Marine Corps. Right now, it's still scoffed at. Talking about family, it's like, yeah, great, but op tempo. So we have to be very mature about these conversations because we love our people, right? Well, don't we want our people to be married and have beautiful families and have a great relationship with their children?
Well, then
don't we?
I think that's where the disconnect is. I think the disconnect is this generation. It's more about that. It's about taking care of their family, but they're still, again, not the first term Marines, not even I don't think the second term Marines. It's all the master gunnies, the master sergeants, the majors, the lieutenant colonels that are out there that came in early in the 2000s where the mentality was still like that, and it was like something that you texted me in Instagram really resonated with me. Monitor, and then you put the quotations mark, is I suffered, so you have to suffer.
Yeah, everybody's suffering.
Everyone's suffering.
Deal with
So exactly, and then the answer is deal with it. Wrong answer.
Yeah. So I think we've talked about a lot of great things, like you pointed out. The whole holistic changes need to happen because what it boils down to is the Marine, right? Once the Marine is more mature as a man or woman, husband, father, mature with his money, mature physically, how to work out without breaking yourself at the end of 20 years. Once that person's mature, we're actually achieving the desired end state of what the Marine Corps wants, which is decentralized command and control. When we have a mature 20-year-old motherfucker that is
Yep.
a grown-ass man acting and thinking like an adult in all facets of his
Wow.
life, we
Wow.
actually accomplish how the Marine Corps is institutionally different from the Army and the other services.
Wow.
Decentralized command
I've
and
never
control.
looked at it that way, but that
Yeah.
is a great way of looking at it.
We're-
Yeah. The faster that you mature someone,
Great decision maker. I trust that guy.
a
Yeah,
proactive
yeah,
thinker, assertive person, because we talked about that too.
absolutely.
And then, just basically a well-rounded, mature human being.
Yeah.
The faster that you do that, the more that person is going to be able to give back to the organization. Wow. Sonny, I definitely appreciate you stopping by today. I definitely appreciate this opportunity. I know this was kind of random, but
It's cool.
it ended up working out, man.
Yeah.
I know probably Barry is gonna watch this podcast. He's gonna be like, "Man, let's have him again.
No.
I want to interview an officer." So, so yeah. So, if would you be open to come back?
Yeah, sure. I'm retired. I got all the time in the day. Yeah.
Well, we got to talk about that because we talked about that off camera,
Yeah.
but we didn't even talk about that.
I do
But
stuff. I don't just.
so
Yeah.
what? But let's to end up right. If somebody can want to reach out to you, maybe I don't know, a junior officer wants to reach
Yeah.
out to you. Can they do that?
That's fine. Perfectly fine.
Okay. What's your social media so that way they can reach out to you in your social media?
TCPS 760. Easy.
Okay, perfect. So, guys, you guys know if you are a young officer that is looking for some advice, go ahead and reach out to Sonny. He will 100% give you the real scoop about it. You guys already know how to get a hold of me. You guys can go to my social media, link in my bio. You guys can schedule an appointment with me. Or you guys can also reach out to me at 787-908-5500. That is my personal number. I will see you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to watch some of these videos that are going to pop up right here. So that way you can stay up to date in all the content. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day.